Statistically, 1 out of 1 people will be fooled by statistics at least once in their life. Statistically speaking will be the phrase used in at least one conversation tonight, statistically speaking. 2 out of 5 times people will throw random numbers together to justify their opinions, and 2 out of every 3 people will likely believe it, even though 3 out of every 4 times those numbers have been misrepresented, misinterpreted, or just made up. But who's to argue with statistics? 1 in 10. If you look at the statistics, 1 in 10 will look at the statistics. How do I know that? I read it somewhere. And the interesting thing about statistics is that 9 out of 10 times it's a skewed pool. Independent surveys versus contracted surveys versus Murdoch surveys, and the survey says what you think is right, what you think is wrong, and who the fuck are you anyway? You're not our target audience, target market, target demographic, so fuck you. Remember when John Howard let us vote to become a republic? Remember the question? I'll give you a hint. It wasn't whether we wanted to become a republic, it was whether we wanted to become a republic or stay with the Queen and live happily ever after, become a republic and be ritually punched in the balls every morning for the rest of our lives. And the votes are coming through. Yes, an overwhelming majority have voted to remain with the Queen. It really is a super exciting announcement. Statistics don't lie. It seems that our history of oppression and dispossession is so well hidden that we're doing it to ourselves. Say what you like about the Pops, but they sure know how to colonize. And coming up after the break, these are your tax dollars, your tax dollars, your tax dollars going towards bedding, feeding, clothing refugees. Billions of dollars a year down the drain to detain these interlopers on our shore. Look at this graph. See how it is very large? This is the amount of fear that you should maintain around any sort of immigration in this country. And this figure here represents how many of you should call in now to tell us exactly what we should do with these money-hungry immigrants. Foreign people. Dial 1 to lend support to anyone fleeing from bullets, bombs, rape and murder. Dial 2 to show support and empathy for anyone seeking asylum in our beautiful country. Dial 3 to bomb the boats before they get here. 1, you have dialed 3, thank you for your time. 2, you have dialed 3, thank you for your time. 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, yes, you have dialed 3, 3, 3, 3, and an overwhelming majority have voted to... This graph here represents how many immigrants coming into this country would have positive skill sets to contribute to this country. These are doctors, teachers, artists, writers, poets and more. These people will make great taxi drivers. This is the amount of money that immigrants coming into the country would invest in this country. And this here is a pie chart representing the amount of Australians who give a fuck. This here is the amount of statistics that have been used over time to push a biased argument. This is their success rate. This is the amount of hippies that will have a go at me for wasting paper in this argument. This is how much I give a fuck. Yes, the stats are everywhere. The stats are in. The stats are pointing to an overwhelming victory here. Our crack team of analysts have been poring over the figures, ladies and gentlemen, and the numbers really are astounding. Don't turn off your TV. Don't turn away. Yes, it seems if I keep shouting figures at you, it'll say an enormous rise in the amount of zeros at the end of my bank account. Extraordinary. Absolutely astounding. It seems if I keep, statistically speaking, throwing figures down your throat, I'll have this job for a long time. This is the graph that points to how much of my job is related to fear-mongering and constant oppression. And this here is a figure representing the relationship between my arse and your mouth. Isn't it amazing that we have such great technology to show you one of the most important opinion polls of our lifetime? It reminds me of Jesus, ladies and gentlemen. Back in you, Jesus! Look at the statistics used to train you, to frame you, to blame you, to tame you. The statistics used against you. We are the 99% watching the 100th monkey point its finger, sniff, dig into its own navel, pull out its lungs. The 100th monkey is watching the 99% tear itself apart. Send cash, send reserves, send ammunition, send in the tanks, send in the clowns for a diplomatic discussion over graphs and facts and figures laid out in a yellow brick road we hoped would lead to understanding. But 100th monkeys are only good for flinging shit, and this cabinet is full of 100th monkeys flying, leaping, diving over our real world resolutions while the Wicked Witch of the West cackles from a current affairs castle. It's depressing, isn't it? A simple line between an X and Y axis can cut through the mind and solar plexus, plummet hard graphs and bottom out our resolve. These statistics Are our conformed selves looking for a box to put others in? Watching the information through a box we invest our opinions in, or from the comfort of a box we decorate with our own statistically conformed to individuality? I am a statistic. Because, Nimbin, I enjoy smoking weed. And the rise in my mental health issues and how much I smoke is evidence that perhaps I shouldn't. You see, I am statistically predisposed to depression. That is my statistic. But what about the statistic of people who develop schizophrenia and now are in a mental institute? I could have been that statistic, but I'm not that statistic. And I'm not the statistic where ganja was a gateway drug. I'm not that statistic, Mum. See, when I was a teenager, my mum developed an obsessive need to go through my room, my shelves, my bed, my bag, even my garbage bin, trying to find my stash, convinced by statistics she saw on TV that it would lead to heroin, cocaine, and meth. And this invasion in our lives drew a charted line through our lives that hit the top of the graph when they found a bag of dried up leaf in the back of my car, and this stuff was about as potent as parsley and was probably better for me than the cigarettes I was smoking. But my mum, so convinced by the statistics she saw on TV, statistics to keep stay-at-home mums watching, kicked me out. She threw me out rather than lose me. What are the statistics of people who fed the statistics by believing the statistics? How many suicidal thoughts do you need before you're a statistic? What are the statistics of Oprah being a cunt? What are the statistics missing? Humanity, decency, common sense? What if you don't see the world in numbers, but you see it in the reflection of mermaid skin? What if you talk to the moon in Morse code? What if you wear your sleeve on your page and your page in your veins and tattoo your tongue to microphones, the only one to speak gold when silence has rusted? Statistics lie. They don't count for much. They certainly don't count the breaths between us. There's no statistic for heartbeats in comparative to love. There's no stock take of all the pieces of ourselves we left behind. These numbers can't create solar flares or a sunset. And there's no statistic for how much better a sunset is on New Year's Eve as opposed to the other 364 days of the year. It's the same sunset. The question is whether or not we're the same people. And if tomorrow 9% of people said they enjoyed the sunrise, it doesn't mean the sunrise ain't worth keeping. It just means not everyone's awake. You know, statistically speaking.